this way. Oh shit. Security. Good morning, world. Morning walk, episode 33. Coming to you from Deakin University today in Melbourne. Off on a little work trip. I'm going to be here a little bit later in the morning for some business, and just thought I'd come and wander through campus. Something super cool about coming to university campuses when there's absolutely nobody around. Having the place to yourself when in just a few hours it's going to be full of people and thriving, but for now it's pretty freaking quiet. Let's go and have a look around. Universities are special places. I've always loved about university, and I've had the great privilege of both studying at uni as well as working there in many different capacities. It's just like the energy of the places. You've got thousands and thousands of young people and all that kind of hope and ambition and exuberance and energy, passion. And then you kind of mix that in with experience. Some of the world's most knowledgeable people and experts in all kinds of different subject areas, from really broad topics to the most micro little things. People who just know so much stuff, and it's like this big melting pot of those two ends of experience, right? Like inexperienced but full of energy and passion, through to like super experienced but maybe jaded. Something that they certainly don't tell you before you start working at university is just how bureaucratic they can be, and how much just getting shit done can be hard, can suck the life out of you. Oh dear. But that's the trade-off, I suppose. It's the trade-off of any big organisation between, being able to innovate and get new things done, whilst at the same time maintaining quality and systems and processes and standards. It's a tricky balance, always. There's this constant tension, not even tension, but balance that needs to be struck between innovation and I guess like stability and systems and processes, sustainability. And it's not just a thing for businesses, but any organisation really, any kind of project. And I've now run a number of small businesses. And the thing is, so having now run a business that's grown from literally nothing to multi-million dollars of turnover, we hit this point where suddenly we're like this super innovative, light, dynamic little company, and everything worked because we were small and communication is easy when you've got not so many staff. But then suddenly you grow and you've got a dozen staff, and then more than a dozen staff, and things start to break, and you have to invest a lot of energy and time to build all those systems and processes. And it literally took us 2 years to really bed that stuff down, and make it awesome, so that the whole thing is sustainable and replicable and all that. And I guess the interesting thing in that is, you can push that too far, and often that's what happens in places like universities or big companies, is they develop so many systems and processes because there's so much complexity and so many people to try and keep aligned on different things that they actually strangle off innovation. And it's like this balance that you need to strike between the organisation that you are right now, the company that you are right now, with the company that you have to be in future, because everything's changing. Artificial intelligence is like blowing this whole world open, and is going to change fundamentally the way that we do just about everything. Companies can't just sit still and do nothing, or they will die. Just the way that universities can't just sit still and do nothing, or they will die. So this kind of constant innovation is absolutely critical in terms of striking a balance sometimes I wonder if like universities have got that balance right. Certainly a place like Deakin does really, really well. You know, they're killing it in so many ways. It's still a university though, lots of bureaucracy. Yeah. The company that you are and the company you're becoming. There we go. Let's keep looking around. A mentor was giving me an awesome piece of advice, which is basically like you need to look at business and organizations as having these two sides, you know, the business that you are, business you're becoming, and the business that you are is handled by something called business maintenance, which is basically like day-to-day work. And the analogy, it's a bit like having a boat, and business maintenance is like the hull of the boat, which has to float. You take your eye off that, then your ship's going to sink, isn't it? You're not going to go anywhere. But then the other thing is also then thinking about the business that you're going to be becoming in future. You can't you can't take your eye off that either. And you basically do that by running projects. And that's essentially like running the engines, you know. When you run the engines, you can actually not only head in a direction, but you've got control of that direction. The problem is in most organizations and work in general is that people tend to always focus on business maintenance, you know, just running or keeping the ship afloat without necessarily, you know, thinking hard about that second business that they need to become, that second organization. And you can do that, you can think about that even if you're like an individual running a project or, you know, side hustle or something like that. Like, yeah, you got to get it off the ground, but once you're off the ground, you got to think about what's coming next constantly, because things are always changing. This is spectacular. Check out this uni. It's just amazing. I love it. Love it here. Just wandered down behind the uni here, and there's like this beautiful little nature reserve, Gardeners Creek Trail. Most spectacular trees, and the birds are going absolutely crazy in the early morning light. This is amazing. If you like a bit of nature and outdoors, it just steps outside the university and boom, there you are, right in the middle of it. Awesome. I love that in cities in Australia. We're so fortunate that you can be right in the middle of suburbia and suddenly, whack, you've got like this amazing outdoor bushland, trees, fresh air. It's a blessing for us. This is great. In fact, you know what? I reckon you can take that analogy even one step further, which is in like your own personal life. Thinking about like your current state, where you are right now. Like you have to maintain that. You need to look after what you've got, protect it. Then you always need to be thinking about what's coming next. You need to be both floating the ship and also running the engines and setting some sort of course and direction. So it's almost like you need to set aside time in your life for both in order to make sure you get where you want to go. I was just thinking about people who just are happy and content where they are. You reach that point where, I don't know, where there is nothing more that you want to gain. I guess I just don't see life like that. It's just a constant project. Not that it's a bad thing. If you're content exactly where you are, you don't feel like you need to go anywhere else. It's like your ship being anchored off a tropical island. That sounds pretty fucking good to me. Oh boy. Anyway, handful of thoughts. It's a beautiful day. I hope whatever you're getting up to today is a good one. I'm Robin Licky, and I will see you next time on the morning walk. See you.